and they go, look, we need help. We want to make sure the Eastern Seaboard is secure. We want to make sure there's no Nazi U-boats. They picked up 2, one off the coast of Long Island. They go, want to make sure they're not in U.S. waters. So they said, not only do we control the waterfront, the mob does. The mob helped naval intelligence during World War II to secure the Eastern Seaboard. Yeah. They wanted, the Navy said, look, make sure there are no U-boats up and down the coast, and make sure that there's no any of these transport ships that are going shipping supplies and ammunitions to Europe. We don't need them getting sabotaged over here by any German infiltrators. So make sure that the Eastern Seaboard is secure. No problem, said the mob.
And that was the way that story has been reported to go. I just want to check this with your research. Is that after Dewey went and got Luciano and got him on a bunch of tax evasion charges, gets him sent up to Siberia, Dannemora prison.
I've been there. I served time there. Clinton.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, Clinton. I was at Clinton.
Yeah. So kind of nasty place. And
horrible.
The war breaks out. The government goes through intermediaries to Luciano and says, we need the ports protected for U-boats, as you just laid out. And also, we may need some help from the guys on the ground who are underground right now who supposedly control Sicily.
Correct. That's the 2-part. That's
and
those, 2 asks.
That happened.
Yes. So those are the 2 asks. Those are the 2 requests. The first part is, so Dewey puts Luciano away on a kind of a phony, I covered this thoroughly in volume 1 of the Borgata trilogy. He puts Luciano away on a phony rap. Kind of like there's a little something to it. Guys in Luciano's Borgata wanted to organize and control the bordellos across New York and probably the tri-state area. They wanted to control
the bordellos?
Yeah, hookah houses. Yep. Yeah, whatever they called them back then. The madams were sort of organized into what they said like a supermarket chain. And it was 2 guys under Luciano that came to Luciano. Now, Luciano was a good boss in the sense that he's earning. He doesn't need this. But you can't deny people in your Borgata the opportunity to earn. So, for example, let's say when Castellano got killed, Castellano doesn't have to sell drugs. He's monopolized the chicken market, the meat market, the unions, the garment industry, construction. So he's telling a little crew like John Gotti and his guys, you guys aren't allowed to sell drugs. Oh, that's nice of you to say. As you rake in $1 million a day. Yeah. What do we do?
You see that fucking thing's for sale right now, by the way?
Yeah, I saw that. It's beautiful.
Dude.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
What a fucking place.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful. So he had a lot of hubris too. I don't want to talk. That's volume 3. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
I'll be back for that. We'll talk about volume 3.
We just went to the 80s.
Yeah. No, we're going to talk about
We jumped like 50 years.
Yeah, we don't want to go that far. So Luciano, to get back to the base, Luciano says, look, if you want to do this, go ahead. You got my blessing. He's smart enough not to say to them, look, you just can't do that. I don't want this Borgata looking like that. You know, like this is bad. It looks bad. It's like disgraciad, like a disgraceful thing that we look like. We don't want that.
It's an infamata.
Exactly. So he says, no, go ahead, earn. Now they, in the midst of putting them together, they mention Luciano's name once in a while. So I don't know how much really like hands-on. He really wasn't hands-on. The evidence bears that out. Dewey pretty much railroads him. He gets a bunch of people on the stand who admit later they lied, but he puts them away from 30 to 50 years. He's sent up to Clinton. And Clinton, I got to tell you, so I mentioned Lewisburg. Clinton's a shithole, maybe even worse. Could be as violent, but not as many murders as Lewisburg. It used to be when Lewisburg was the Lewisburg I knew. I think it might have changed a little now because they did things differently, the federal system. But Clinton was as nasty as far as like knifings, as far as like cockroaches. It's in the middle of the tundra all the way up north. It was disgusting. So I spent some time there before I got transferred over to Adirondack, which was a medium, which was a lot nicer. Adirondack was pretty much a cakewalk.
Good amenities there.
Not bad. I'll tell you, not bad. I didn't mind it. I didn't mind Adirondack. But Clinton was disgusting.
Yeah.
So when I was in Clinton, I was there the same time Vinny Asaro was there. I used to call Vinny Asaro Uncle Vin. Yeah. So I was close with Ronnie, who's a gem of a man, Ronnie Gialonzo, who definitely should be home already. He's doing way more time than he deserved, and he never complains about it. Never a peep out of Ronnie, nothing. But anyway, at the time, I was there. I came through there when Uncle Vin was there, Vinny Saro, and we were trying to send messages to each other, and we eventually got through in the prison, and because we were in two different parts. So, but anyway, P.S. To rewind, I don't think that Hoover thought of the mob because of all they did. So Luciano goes away really quick. This Navy thing you asked me. They did a lot for the Navy, and what you said, the two things was Dewey puts Luciano away. Then in U.S. Naval Intelligence, there's a ship burnt in the harbor, and they go, look, we need help. We want to make sure the Eastern Seaboard is secure. We want to make sure there's no Nazi U-boats. They picked up two, one off the coast of Long Island. They go, want to make sure they're not in U.S. waters. So they said, not only do we control the waterfront, the mob does at the time, but we have all these fishing boats and transport ships coming in and out. We'll tell them anything you spot at sea, report to us immediately, and we'll tell you. So the Navy's like, this is great. We got a roving lighthouses all over the Eastern Seaboard.
They're an intelligence unit.
It was incredible. And the second thing was, look, when we invade Sicily, ask your cousins in
You got
Sicily.
like Carlo Vizzini to like lead the tanks across.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he was like entrenched in the mob there. But also too, the Sicilian immigrants in America were reporting to naval intelligence because they were patriotic Americans. They were going, look, and they didn't like Mussolini and Hitler. So they're going, look, these are more deep water ports. This is where you could bring in shipments. This is where the roads are more easy to traverse. They're giving them postcards, pictures, anything they could do to help them figure out when we land in what Churchill termed as the soft underbelly of Europe.
Yes.
Right? Churchill wants to get in, but he wants to get in. He doesn't want to do the direct Normandy invasion yet. He wants to come in from the bottom. That's why they first went to North Africa. Now he wants to land troops in Sicily and then make their way over onto the European continent. So they're getting all of this information from Sicilian immigrants who are telling them this is where it was led by, I think, Patton and Montgomery, where they landed and they made a race and they wanted to try to take Sicily and then cross over. But a lot of help came from the mob who brought in all of the Sicilians they knew. Going, my cousin's got this, my sister's got that, my brother's got this, my other cousin's got that.
And it's all with the okay of Luciano.
Luciano was in prison. They went to Myelansky first. They understood Sox Lanza controlled the waterfront. Sox Lanza they went to, and he goes, look, I can only speak so much because my boss is in Dannemora, Luciano, and there's only one guy who speaks with Luciano's tongue, and that's Myelansky.
They grew up together.
Yep, Myelansky, a Jew who was Luciano's right-hand man and his off-the-record consigliere.
Yes.
His chief advisor. So Lansky says, look, Luciano's a patriotic American. I'll talk to him. I'm going to go up there with our lawyer, Pollock, and we're going to talk to him. I'll get back to you. But you could guarantee it. It's going to be good. Lansky talks with Luciano's tongue. He goes up to see him.
And they make a deal right then. When they do this, the deal is, hey, yeah, you're going to get out of here, but you're going to be deported.
Well, Luciano wanted a full pardon at first.
Yeah.
He was hoping for a full pardon. When push came to shove, Dewey felt like it might be a political quagmire to give him a full pardon, and he felt like they're going to look at him. And they did anyway, even for deporting him, because they said, whoa, how much money did you get in the campaigns? What's going on with the gubernatorial race in New York? And Tammany, right? He's a Republican. Tammany was controlled by Democrats, but still, people were asking questions. So there were so many questions, even though he just deported them. There were so many questions that Dewey ordered something called the Hurlins Report. And that Hurlins Report was basically, he wanted to prove that, hey, look, I'm deporting him and letting him out of jail after convicting him only because of the work he did for the Navy. Don't look at me, because this was all top secret what he did for the Navy. It was not out. The Hurlins Report that Dewey conducts on the sly through one of his chief lieutenants, they put together this report and they proved that all of naval intelligence relied so heavily on Luciano that that's why Dewey's making the decision. But then the chiefs, the heads of the Navy come to Dewey and they go, please don't release this. You can't let it out. And Dewey wants to be Republican president. So he goes, fine. He makes a deal with the Navy that he's not going to let it out. But years later, it came out. And that's how we know what we know today about the relationship between the mob and the Navy, because of the work that Dewey did to defend his own ass. But it ended up that he fought those accusations without the report, and then the report slipped out later. Because the Navy asked him, look, it's embarrassing for us. We had to work with people we don't like to win that war, but don't put that out to people. The American public won't buy it.
But the mob goes on record with that, showing like, hey, we're patriotic too. So they get something out of it.
Luciano's bitching and moaning in court. You got to let me out. I worked with the Navy. He doesn't care. And they're trying to figure out what are they going to do with Luciano, and they figure out deport him. Deport him, get him out, let him out of jail, shut him up, give him something. He gets deported, and then he only gets deported and he accepts it. He thinks he's going to work his way back, and he's never able to do it.
He was able to get into Cuba a couple times,
Yes.
I think, but never America.
Yeah.
And he had effectively, because he had come to America when he was a very little boy. That's what he knew. He had a New York accent.
Right.
He loved America, and he was fucking miserable living in Italy the rest of his life.
Miserable. I get into it a little in volume 1, and you just so nailed it because he took over. He took over America, the underworld, at a young age. He's in his 30s when he takes over the underworld in America. And he rose to such heights. And he's, they're putting politicians in. They own the police.
Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.